Hello, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from the second group. Our members are Nanda Plastika Indraswari, Ahmad Sulfahmi Muafiqillah, Tamami Maensarov, and Mazizul Falilah. In this course, we are going to talk about first line and free verse. We will talk about first line, quantity and pitch, stressed and unstressed syllables, and free verse. Okay, now let's move to the first speaker. Of verse. Verse is the literary device which denotes a single line of poetry. The term can also be used to refer to a stanza or other parts of poetry. Generally, this literary device is said to encompass three possible meanings, namely a line of metrical writing, a stanza, or a piece written in meter. Types of verse are blank verse and free verse. Jadi, verse adalah perangkat sastra yang menunjukkan satu baris puisi. Dalam bahasa Indonesia, verse ini dapat diartikan dengan ayat. Jadi, satu baris puisi bisa disebut dengan satu ayat puisi. Secara umum, perangkat sastra ini dapat mencakup tiga kemungkinan arti, yaitu sebaris ayat, bait, atau potongan yang ditulis dalam meter atau irama. Jenis verse ada dua, yaitu blank verse dan free verse. The first type is blank verse. Blank verse means there is no rhyming effect present in a blank verse poem. However, it has an iambic pentameter. It is usually employed for presenting passionate events and to create an impact to the reader. For example, words limit the silence, upsetting the peace of infinite tranquility. Dalam puisi blank verse, tidak ada efek berima, namun ia memiliki pentameter iambic. Ini biasanya digunakan untuk menyajikan sesuatu yang sangat menarik dan untuk menciptakan dampak pada pembaca. Contohnya, words limit the silence. Kata-kata membatasi keheningan. Upsetting the peace of infinite tranquility. Mengganggu kedamaian dari ketenangan yang tak terbatas. Now we will talk about meter. Meter is the basic rhythmic structure of a line within a poem or poetic work. The meter serves as a tool to adjust the number of syllables and the emphasis pattern of these syllables. Jadi, meter dalam poetry atau dalam bahasa Indonesia kita menyebutnya sebagai irama adalah struktur ritme dasar dari sebaris puisi. Meter atau irama ini berfungsi sebagai alat untuk mengatur jumlah suku kata dan pola penekanan pada suku kata tersebut. Contoh dan jenis dari meter akan dijelaskan oleh speaker selanjutnya.
Hello everyone. In this part, I would like to explain about quantity and beats. Both of them are the important parts to measure a poetry. From the book The Basic Poetry by Jeffrey Wainwright, quantity is the length of writing syllables, while a set of quantity forms a beat. First, let's know more about syllables in poetry. As we know, a line of a poetry is defined by the number of syllables. It's been divided into distinctive arrangement of long and short syllables. For example, heart will be a long syllables and hit is a short syllables. Those long and short syllables will make a formation called metrical feet. There are 5 principal types of metrical feet and their names derived from Greek. Originally, a foot is a distinctive arrangement of short and long syllables. Those metrical feet are: the first is iamb, or we usually call it as iambic. consists of one short syllables and then followed by one long syllables. I'll give you one example. It's gonna be sounds like ba-bum or shall I. And then the second is Spondee. It consists of two long syllables. It's gonna be sounds like bum bum, heartbeat. And then the third is Trochee. One long syllables followed by one short syllables. And then the next is tactile. One long syllables followed by two short syllables. And the last is anapath, consists of two short and one long syllables. A classical quantitative line is therefore made up of a set number of feet, the type depending upon the requirements of a poem. In another way, feet is usually called a beat, and we're gonna talk about how many beats show up in a line. So here we use meter as our terms for feet. So 1 feet is 1 meter or monometer. And the next is 2 feet. It's called as diameter. And then 3 feet is 3 meter. 4 feet is tetrameter. And then 5 feet is pentameter. And the last is 6 feet. It's called as hexameter. I have one example for you from the most famous poetry of William Shakespeare, Sonnet 18, has pentameter of 5 iambic feet, so it's gonna be sounds like ba-bum, 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 ba-bum. Shall I compare the two a psalm's day? So, this combination of quantity and beat is used by the poets to form a rhythm. It's gonna make a poetry rise and down, and sometimes it stop and make the reader think more about the poem.
Okay guys, let's move into the next material called stressed syllable. A stressed syllable is a syllable that has emphasis within a word or within a line of poetry. For example, embrace, emphasize, lovely. These stress called primary stresses. Second, a word that contains three or more syllables might have secondary stresses when you put them together. For example, confidential, assignment. Nah, jadi stress syllable itu adalah kata-kata yang mempunyai tekanan dalam kata tersebut. Nah, normalnya dalam satu kata itu mempunyai satu primary stress. Nah, pada embrace-nya ditekan, kemudian emphasize, M-nya ditekan, lovely, love-nya ditekan. Nah, kemudian apabila dalam satu kata itu terdiri dari 3 atau lebih syllable-nya, dan ketika di put together, itu ada kemungkinan kata tersebut memiliki secondary stress. For example, confidential assignment. Nah, di sini primernya dan con-nya itu sebagai secondary, assignment, sign-nya itu primary stress, dan nya itu sebagai secondary stress. Accent may influence the stress of a word. For example, English people would say Birmingham, while American people would say Birmingham. How do we know the stressed syllable in a word? The first step, listen carefully and notice where the speaker's pitch get higher. Example, captivate, capricious. Apakah kalian sudah notice di mana stress wordnya? Kalau belum, coba tip nomor 2. Listen for the syllable that takes longer to say. Example, embrace, heaven, victory. Have you noticed where the stress syllable is? If you haven't noticed about that, open the Merriam-Webster dictionary and search the word that you want to know where the syllable is. For example, I searched the word indigo, and there is a mark before the word in. Ini tanda yang di atas ini sebelum in, dan juga tanda yang di bawah sebelum go itu adalah menandakan secondary stress, dengan sebelum in itu adalah primary stress. Let's read these two stress lines, D meters, poetry. with lengths varying between 4 to 6 syllables. There was an old woman, and what do you think? She lived upon nothing but victuals and drink, victuals and drink. Thank you.
Hello guys, here we go to our last material today. We would like to talk about free verse. The first is the definition of free verse. Free verse is an open form of poetry, which in its modern form arose through the French verse libre form. It does not use consistent meter patterns, rhyme, or any musical pattern. It thus tends to follow the rhythm of natural speech. Free verse is a literary device that can be defined as poetry that is free from limitation of regular meter or rhythm and does not rhyme with fixed form. Such poems are without rhythm and rhyme schemes, do not follow regular rhyme scheme rules, yet still provide artistic expression. In this way, the poet can give his own shape to a poem however he or she desires. However, it still allows poets to use alliteration, rhyme, cadence, and rhythm to get the effect that they consider are suitable for the piece. The next is features of free verse. There are 4 features of free verse. The first is free verse poems have no regular meter or rhythm. The second, they do not follow a proper rhyme scheme. These poems do not have any set rules. The next, this type of poem is based on normal pauses and natural rhythmical phrases, as compared to the artificial constraints of normal poetry. The last is, it is also called vers libre, which is a French word meaning free verse. The next is the function of free verse. Free verse is commonly used in contemporary poetry. Some poets have taken this technique as a freedom from rhythm and rhyme because it changes people's mind whimsically. Therefore, free verse is called vers libre. The best thing about free verse is that poets can imagine the forms of any sound through intonation instead of matter. Free verse gives a greater freedom for choosing words and conveying their meanings to the audience, since it depends upon patterned elements like sound, phrases, sentences, and words. It is free of artificiality of a typical poetic expression. The last is the example of free verse. You can see besides there is the example of poetry that use free verse technique by Walt Whitman. If you are looking for free verse examples, then Walt Whitman is your guide. He is known as the father of free verse English poetry. In this poem, only a simple metaphor is used to mesmerize readers without employing regular rhyme schemes or rhythm. We can see normal pauses in the poem unlike the typical limitation of metrical fit. That's all guys for today. Thank you.